Okay, great. Well, we wanted to welcome everyone here to the webinar tonight. Tonight, we are here for the third webinar where we're going to talk about how to do the business. And this is critical because it's really why we're here. It ties back into Dr. Wallach's mission and his crusade. If you remember, Dr. Wallach spent 13 years going through zoos throughout America doing all of the autopsies, 20,000 autopsies on people and animals. And the results of that were published in a book, changed all of the veterinarian profession. We have our pets are living twice as long. Bears that used to die in their 20s in zoos are now living to be in their 50s. There's a lot of changes that happen in society because of that. But despite spending 17 years trying to teach the medical profession when they wouldn't change, he realized he's got to take the message to the world. He spent 12 years in private practice, and the world still didn't change. And that's when he started to bring it to us. And the reason he brought it to us is because he wants an army of evangelists, an army of crusaders out there sharing this message that people don't have to be sick, that people can be healthy, that you can rebuild, that you can reverse diseases. And to explain why he chose this, we're going to start off with an analogy, or actually an explanation on how people earn money. And this is from Robert Kiyosaki in what's called the Cash Flow Quadrant. Now, he's the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, one of the most successful business books in recent history. And here in this book, in a second book called Cash Flow Quadrant, he says there's 4 ways people can make money. And we're going to start with this because this applies to how we build our business. See, the same reasons that Dr. Wallach wanted to build a business this way are actually the same reasons why we should want to build it that way. He wanted an army of evangelists that would grow the business even when he wasn't there. And he works hard. He works extremely hard. One of the hardest working people I have ever met. But despite how much he works, he still can't be everywhere, still can't reach everyone. He needs other people. And it's the same thing for you and I. We can work hard. We can make a big difference. But there's places we can't reach unless we're able to do something called duplication, which we'll get back to, which we'll get to here shortly. But to start this off, what I first want to do is talk about the 4 ways that people make money, E, S, B, and I. And if you've ever been an employee, you know what it means to be an employee. You tried time for money. And an employee doesn't control your salary. It's not necessarily based on the results that you get as an employee. Either someone else decides your salary. S is for the self-employed person. This is where it is based on your results. If you're more effective with your time, if you're a plumber and do more plumbing jobs, if you're an accountant and have more accounts, if you're a lawyer and have more cases, right? A dentist and sees more patients, all of those things you can make more money. But one of the qualifying characteristics of an S quadrant business is that it's dependent on your time. If you're not there, you're not making money. Okay, a dentist on vacation doesn't earn any money, as Todd's father could tell you. B stands for a business owner, and this is where essentially it's the same thing. You get paid on the results of the business, but the business isn't tied to your time alone. In other words, you don't have to be in the store in order to make money. And I stands for an investment. Yes, you can be a stockholder or a shareholder with a company. We're not here to talk about that. Not all investments make money. In our case, actually, the best way to become an investor is to do it on the company's money. In other words, qualify for what we call stock options. But we're not here to talk about that either. Let's talk about the 2 different ways to qualify. As a business here with Youngevity, being a distributor, an independent distributor, you have your own business. You can be in an S business or a B business. Now, remember, the qualifying characteristic of an S business is it's dependent on your time. You're the one going out there doing the work. You're the one finding the customer, explaining the products, getting them excited about it. Maybe the company ships the products for you. Maybe you even use tools to do it to be effective with your time. But whenever you're going to expand your business, even if you get a referral, you're the one that goes and expands your business. It's dependent on you. If your business is biggest on your front level, your second level smaller, your third level smaller, you might be in the S quadrant business. A B quadrant business is actually very, very different when it comes to how it looks to the structure. See, a B quadrant business is the kind of business where maybe even work with fewer numbers of people. But some of those people say, I can do that too. And they go out and they do the same thing. And some of their people then in turn do the same thing. And some of their people do the same thing. Now that's the difference between an S and a B. You see it visually there on the slide. Let me ask you this. Which one changes more people's lives? Which one makes more money? Which one has more time freedom? So if you're into those 3 things, if you're into changing people's lives, if you're into time freedom, if you're into earning money for your family, which of these two would do it, an S or a B? Obviously, it's a B. Now, which one did Dr. Wallach choose? And that's a B. That's why he created this company, because he knew he needed to reach more people, and he needed a B quadrant business to do it. So which one do you want, an S or a B? Now, here's something to think about. You can't build it like an S and hope it will be a B. You have to build it as a B from the beginning. You have to build it as a B. Okay, and the way we build it is very different. Okay, so how do you build a B? Well, the principle is called duplication. Now, I want you to understand, we talk about duplication. It's the ability for other people to do the same thing we do. And when we look at examples of duplication, it's not a yes or a no, it's a how much. If you talk to one person, and that person talks to one person, and that person talks to one person, down through 6 generations, that's 6 people. You spoke with one, there are now 6, right? That's great duplication, because it's 6-fold what you personally did. But what if you could do better? Well, if you get the same rate of duplication, but you just do more work. Now, instead of you talking with one, you talk to 2, but they each talk to 1 over the same 6 generations. Now you're going to have 12. Your organization is going to be twice as big. Still 6-fold what you personally did. That's great. But what if you could do better? What if instead of just increasing the amount of work you did, you could actually increase the duplication for everyone in your group? In other words, you talked to 2 and they each talked to 2. Now over the same 6 generations, instead of being 6-fold, you spoke to 2, there's now over 100. That's a 50-fold increase. If you compared it with the 6 or even the 12, right? Say the 12 is the same amount of work, you're over 8-fold the difference. Well, what if you could change it from a 2 to a 3? 3 talk to 3, talk to 3, or even 4 talk to 4, talk to 4. Now from a 2 to a 4, you've doubled the amount of duplication. Look at your results. 54 times bigger over just 6 generations, and we can get many more generations than that. So here's what we want to do to increase our duplication. The more others say, I can do that too, the greater your duplication. And this is an important principle. If you were honest with the company call today, the product update call that we did at 5 p.m. Pacific time, you heard us talk about the ABC method. Tonight, we're going to teach you a little bit about this. We're going to use some different terminology, but this is a critical thing. The more others say, I can do that too, the greater your duplication. You want to build your business in a way that other people say, you know, I can do that. And they do it, and they get results doing it, and it grows and it grows and it grows. And that's the key to success with our business. We've got to build a way build our business in a way that other people can and want to do the same thing, right? So let's talk about the principle of this. And I like to think that in our business, one of the things that makes us unique with Youngevity and Dr. Wallach is that the same principles that work every single day in word-of-mouth advertising work in our business. In other words, if you've ever told your friends about a book and they read the book, or somebody told you about a movie and you went to the movie, or you ate a good restaurant and you felt confident in your ability to share that restaurant with someone else. Well, that's the exact same thing that we're going to do with our business here. And it's the same principles that are going to work to increase our duplication. So think about a restaurant. I want you to understand this. If you eat at a good restaurant, do you have to become the chef in order to introduce that restaurant to your friends? The answer is no, you don't have to be the chef. What do? You simply bring them to the restaurant. That's important. You bring them to the restaurant. Someone else is going to be the chef. You're going to bring them to the restaurant, and they're going to provide the information. They're going to provide the education. They're going to provide the products. Someone else can do that. You're going to bring them to the restaurant. Well, in our job, in Youngevity, if you want to look at our job, well, what we do is introduce people to our proven system. Our proven system is going to be the restaurant, folks. This is how we build a business that other people can do it too. So in order for you to bring people to the restaurant, the key skill for you to master is effective inviting. Now I'm going to switch slides here for just a minute, because before we talk about inviting, I do want to cover a couple of getting started steps. And these are important getting started steps, because in any business, if you're going to get started, you got to be ready. And I call them the ABCs of getting ready. You got to be ready, because the most valuable investment in your business is your time, and you want to be effective with your time. Okay, if you're trying to travel across the country, spending some time to put gas in the car is a good investment of your time. Running out of gas and having to walk is a bad investment of your time, right? You can think, hey, I'm trying to save time. I'm not going to stop at that gas station. You walk, right? In our business, there are certain things that are like gas to the car that you're going to need for your business. I call them the ABCs of getting ready. Now, some of them are going to be a little more critical than others, but if you want the best results, I do them all. It's like putting gas in the car and oil. You can get further on no gas. You can get further on no gas. I'm sorry, I say that back. If you're out of gas, you can't get anywhere. But you can probably get further on an oil change than you can on a single tank of gas. But if you keep going through your gas tanks, you're going to eventually have to change the oil. It's the same thing with our business. There's certain things that are going to be more critical than others, but these are the basics to get the best results for your time. Number one, or A on the ABCs, is choose your CEO pack and ownership. Now, the CEO training is valuable, but this is one of those. If money is tight and you don't have the money to do it, you can do later. You can upgrade later. You're going to miss out on some of the bonuses along the way if you're not ready for them. But if you want to get the best results on your time from the beginning, do it at the beginning. Go to that training. We actually have a next CEO training coming up September 14th and the 15th down in Denver, Colorado. I'm going to be there, and hopefully you will too. But it also gives you access to other additional bonuses. And those two things, additional money coming in and additional training to help you get to the money sooner, make it all worth it. Even one of those two would make it worth it. But then you also need an auto ship. And the reason we're going to encourage you to do an auto ship, one, you're going to save money on the shipping. That's great. But it also helps you to be qualified for the quick start. And the quick start essentially gives you 30% instead of 8%. Would you like to be able to make nearly 4 times as much on the people that you personally enroll? Yeah, you would. You want to be effective with your time. Okay, which is more, $8 an hour, $30 an hour? Well, $30 an hour, obviously, right? Well, let's get paid more for our time. Let's qualify for that quick start. Okay, next thing, order your tools. Now, here again, there are some tools that are absolutely critical. To me, the very bare minimum is The Dead Doctors Don't Lie CD. The Best of Dead Doctors Don't Lie CD. And you could just start off with 10. But if you want the best results on your time, get some of the training that goes with it. Get like the Who Made MDs King, or the Brilliant Compensation, or the, oh, you're going to love this one if you haven't heard it yet. And if you have heard it, you already do love it. Building Your Network Marketing Business by Jim Rohn. See, those are part of what we call a business toolkit. And even this CD, you can do it too. These are some things that are part of this business toolkit that make you effective in using your time, because you train yourself, and then someone else in your team can get the same toolkit and they can train themselves as well. Okay, so you're going to really enjoy that business toolkit, and you're going to have tools to share with people. And then also the 90 for Life cards. The reason these cards are great is because these cards help you. They're like business cards that teach people how to walk through the 3 basic steps of listening to a CD, checking out the videos on your website, and then coming to a webinar or a live presentation to meet the team. Those are 3 great ways to get people to get people the education they need to make an educated decision. And those are on the business cards. The business cards can also be a 90 for Life savings card, where it can be a conversational starter. But if you don't have them, you can't use them. So that's why it's a one there. You're going to need the CDs at a very minimum. But if you can do all of them, definitely do all of them. It's not a big expense when you think about what it costs to start a business. For a few $100s, you're up and running, right? And then finally, attend trainings and events. The very first one is this webinar, and there's a recorded version on how to share the CD so that people listen to, called Business Basics by Blake. And as one of your homework assignments I'm going to give you for tonight, if you haven't watched that video, go and watch that. Go to wallachonline.com under multimedia, and if you have watched it, go and watch it again. It may have been a few months for you. Go watch it again. You probably pick up things the second time that you didn't pick up the first time. But it's all a training about how it is what the best way is to share the CD so that people listen to it. We're going to go over that some very specifically here. All right. So let's go back to the effective inviting, because that's the next step. You've done that. Oh, and you're ready to get started. Now, what do? The next step is you've got to start inviting people. And here's what we do. The most important activity for you and your team to duplicate, the best way to increase your duplication is to increase your effective inviting. Let's think about, why are we so confident in our ability to introduce a good restaurant to our friends and family? Why does that not frighten us at all? Well, some of the principles are, we think they're going to like the restaurant. You know, if you think about their need, eating good food is something they're interested in. Okay. That's what we're talking about. Those are the same principles we're going to apply to Youngevity. So in Youngevity, I want you to do this. Make a list of people. I mean, if you can, go through in your CEO training, get that list out, make a list of, it actually has a place in there to write down 100 names. 100 names of people that you think Youngevity can help in some form or another. If you can't do that, do a list of 52. You know, think of, we're looking for 4 aces in a deck of cards. There's 52 there, right? But make a list and ask yourself, take some notes next to the person's name. How do you think we can help them? What can Youngevity help them with? What are they going to be interested in? Now, to increase your effectiveness, you can guess their interest. You can just guess, well, I know what they're going to be interested in, or you can talk about their interest. And I love having a conversation with them, because once they feel like you understand where their needs are, they're going to open up a little more. We call this as a step. One of the most important steps in the business, it's identifying the need. This is what's going to separate your Youngevity business from what we typically think of as a sales business. We are going to go out there and be problem solvers. We're going to be solution providers. And Youngevity is going to be actually providing the solution. We're going to be bringing them to somebody to provide the solutions for them. Okay? But to do that, we need to know what the problem is. We call it the need. Now, some people call it the coffee shop interview. I've had a number of successful leaders in the company, you refer it to that, and actually do a training program on the coffee shop interview. Remember, the purpose of this is not drinking coffee. The purpose of this is to actually get into a conversation where you identify somebody's needs. Now, we've all heard people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Here's how we identify the need. We learn to listen for people's needs and wants. We learn to listen for their needs and wants. And why it's important to identify the need is because by identifying the need, we help that person open up their mind and be interested in the answer or the solutions that we have to share, right? Think of it as you have a valuable message. You know, based on the shape of the CD, if you want to think of it as a frisbee, right? This is a valuable frisbee. It's a platinum frisbee, okay? It's worth a lot of money. If you're going to throw it to somebody and they don't catch it, it's not going to do them any good. You can have a diamond set of football. You throw it to them, and if instead of catching it and appreciating the value, they let it drop, or they think you're throwing things at them, you can have the most valuable message in the world, but in trying to share it, you aggravate people and wear yourself out. Don't do that, folks. Don't be the kind of pushy salesman that chases people around. That's not what we want to be. We don't like that. Okay? Instead, we want to share our message in a way that people want the message. They want the answer. They want to be ready to catch that. We call this identify the need, and it's in that proven system. And after we identify the need, the step is we're going to lend them a CD to help them meet their need, right? Now, why do we lend the CD? The reason we lend the CD is because it's quicker, easier, more effective to bring people to the restaurant than it is to try and become the chef. It's quicker, easier, and more effective to bring people to the restaurant than it is to try to become the chef. Okay, so the CD is going to be the restaurant, and the key is not how many CDs we share, but it's how many people actually listen to. And I'm going to tell you a story. You see, when I got involved in this business, my mother had a number of health concerns. My mother actually was on a number of different prescriptions. She had the all white hair. She had diabetes. She had actually neuropathy so bad that she broke her foot and couldn't feel it, right? So here's my mother with all of these health concerns. And I went and shared with her everything that Dr. Wallach said to take. And she took the information that I shared with her and went and talked with her MD about it. And what do you think the MD said? Well, the MD should have said, Nancy, we've been working with you for 20 years. You're on 15 different prescriptions. You're only getting worse. What have you got to lose? But what the MD actually said is, Nancy, you're on 15 different prescriptions. You might mess something up. You might overdose on that nutrition. You know, like the nutrition was dangerous, right? Nobody died from a nutritional deficiency. I'm sorry, from a nutritional overdose of vitamins and minerals last year. It doesn't happen. It doesn't have that danger level. But we had over 260,000 people in America alone die from prescription drugs taken as directed. And yet that MD had the audacity to tell my mother that the nutrition was dangerous. Well, what was I to do? Now, I want you to understand, I wasn't new to this. I mean, I was in pre-med at the time. I had spent 4 years with another nutritional company. I had some background in this. And when I heard Dr. Wallach speak, it made so much sense. And we were seeing incredible results with other people within the business. But for 2 years, my own mother wouldn't listen to the CD. She wouldn't take any products. She wouldn't read the book. You know, originally she said, I don't listen to CDs. I like to read books. And so I gave her the book, but she wouldn't read the book either, right? What was I to do? And I realized I'd given her a lot of CDs. I'd given her books, but a CD they don't listen to doesn't make any difference for them. A book they don't read doesn't make any difference for them. What do we need to do? We actually need to get them to listen to it. So what was I to do? 2 years. Well, one day, 2 years into it, I was pulling up to my mother's house because I was going to pick her up. We were going to go to my brother's. And as I drove up to her home, I had an idea. This was my car. It was my CD player. Now, when I was in front of the house on the driveway, I didn't put the CD in. I waited until my mother had got in the car and we're driving fast enough, you know, that she's not going to jump out. But I put it in and we listened to it. And my mother even pretended to sleep. I mean, I thought I had a captive audience. She went to sleep. And I thought, you know, if the best I'm going to do is get it into her subconscious, by golly, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn it up. So I turned it up, and for 20 minutes, we drove to my brother's house. At the end of 20 minutes, my mother was pretending to sleep, but she got out of the car. She turned to me and says, okay, Blake, I'll take the products. What I'm saying to you is 20 minutes with this CD right here was better than 2 years with me. The key is not how many CDs we share, it's how many people listen to. So you want to share it in a way that people want it. How do we do that? Well, we tailor our message to what people want. And I'm going to give you some examples because we're going to jump right into this. But if you're going to remember one phrase, this will be a phrase that will increase the results of you and your team, the number of people that listen to the CDs they share. Now, here's some real life examples, okay? Dr. Wallach, I actually got this from Dr. Wallach because he was on an airplane and he saw a horse trainer there. Didn't know at first she was a horse trainer, but she came in, she had what looked like some joint pain. And she sat down next to Dr. Wallach. They get in a conversation on the airplane. Find out that she's a horse trainer. She loves horses, but her dream job, I mean, and when I say it's her dream job, she actually invested all of her life savings and her husband's life savings, and they bought a horse ranch so they could jump horses and teach other people to jump horses. But this dream job was killing her, almost literally, because every time the horse would bounce, it would send pain up and down her spine, into her knees, her back, her neck. She was worried that she was going to fall off the horse and literally break her neck. Okay, that bad. So it's a dream job. She has to give it up. And after 2.5 hours of talking with Dr. Wallach, as the plane comes in for a landing, she finally turns to Dr. Wallach and gives him a chance to say something. She says, you know, I've spent all this time talking about me. What is it that you do? Okay. Now that's an open question, right? And you think, Dr. Wallach, what does he do? I mean, if you've ever been to his lecture and you've heard his lecture, he could talk probably 3 hours on joint pain alone. Okay. He's got a lot of information to share. But the plane's coming in for a landing. He understands the principle. It doesn't matter what you say, it's what they want to hear that counts. So he said one thing, one line, and I'd like you to remember this line. He said, believe it or not, I work with a company that specializes in making products to fix the knees, the back, and the necks of horse trainers. And the horse trainer was stunned. She was like, excuse me, could you say that again? He says, believe it or not, I work with a company that specializes in making products to fix the knees and the back and the necks of horse trainers. And she started to say, well, what is it? How much does it cost? I mean, she's getting excited here because this is a solution to her problem. And when Dr. Wallach says, you know, I actually don't have a lot of information on me right now, she reached over and grabbed him by the shirt, pulled him right up into her face and said, I want the stuff. I mean, she wanted it. She wasn't letting him go. And so they got off the plane, got on the phone, got her products ordered, got her on auto ship, and she went home and told all of the other horse trainers how she had met somebody who worked with a company that specialized in helping people to in making products to fix the knees, the back, and the necks of horse trainers. Well, the same for an ex-football player. Or I was actually in an elevator here in Japan, and I saw a gentleman, didn't look Japanese, and I just started a conversation. What are you doing here in Japan? And he says to me, well, I'm here in Japan to teach English, but my diabetes is so bad. My blood sugar's up over 500. My wife's crying herself to sleep every night that I'm going to have to move back to England. And then he asked me what I did. And I said, believe it or not, I work with a doctor that specializes in preventing and reversing diabetes. He says, you do? Yeah. I said, in fact, there's no one in the world that does this like Dr. Wallach. Let me ask you this. Do you think he was interested in listening to a CD? Is he ready for any information? Yeah, he wanted more than an information, though. He wanted information and products. One, get started right then. We happened to be meeting a distributor in the lobby, and so down there, got that distributor's information, uh, he bought products from her on the spot, and went back to his English class and told his class how that day he had had an answer to his prayers. I mean, how many of us know somebody that's praying for the health of a loved one? Right? How many times have we prayed for the health of someone else, right? Well, the good Lord, I believe, hears and answers prayers. He hears and answers prayers all the time. But he does it oftentimes through other people. If you've ever had the opportunity that you had a time of need and somebody came or called at just the right time, or you felt inspired to go visit somebody or pick up a phone and call someone, and they were like, how did you know? To me, that's the inspiration. That's the good Lord watching over us and helping us out. Okay? People out there need these answers, and we don't even know who they are many times, but the good Lord does. And I didn't know this gentleman from Adam, but here he was in an elevator, and he felt inspired to tell me that he had diabetes so bad that his wife was crying herself to sleep every night, blood sugar up over 500. That seems like a pretty obvious need. Well, the same thing happened. I had another distributor, after hearing this training, was coming out of a Costco and saw a gentleman in a wheelchair and felt inspired to talk with him. Walked up to him and said, what are you doing in that wheelchair? And the gentleman said, well, I was a truck driver and I was working on my truck, and another truck pulled up alongside of me and ran me over. And since then I've been all banged up and in this wheelchair. And this distributor said, you may not believe this, but believe it or not, I work with a doctor that specializes in helping old truck drivers, beat up old truck drivers, get up out of their wheelchairs. Within 35 days, that former truck driver and his brother were not only using the products, they were both senior executive marketing directors in this business, okay? And they're getting great results. And that's what it's about, folks, because the mind opens up. Their heart opens up. They're willing to look at the possibility that maybe there's a way to get better, that they don't have to continue to suffer. When they do that, we can change people's lives. Now, I have another gentleman, and Todd actually spoke about this gentleman on the company call that we had, the product update call. His name's Nephi, and he's a plumber by trade, and he is actually the independent marketing director of the year, folks. I mean, he's one of the most successful distributors in the company, but he always, when he works with his people, he says, they know me as a plumber. He wants somebody else to be the restaurant, and so he will actually use a third-party approach. He won't say that he works with a company or he works with a doctor, because a lot of them say, well, you're a plumber. Since when do you work with the doctor? Plumbers and doctors, they don't work together much. But for his own friends and family, he says, believe it or not, I have a friend that works with a company or doctor that specializes in helping people exactly like you with the exact problem you have. That's when we're talking. Now, remember, you can guess their interests. You can talk about their interests. You can get into a conversation. And there is another option of having them self-select. Now, when we talk about self-select, understand that the CD can be both a health tool and a business tool. Most of us that have heard of the CD understand its value as a health tool. A few of you may have saw the value of it as a business tool when you first heard it. That's one of the things that I did. I realized that this CD was more effective than I was at explaining nutrition. And I had spent 4 years with another company. That's probably why I realized that. Todd, when he heard this, if you remember Todd's story, he was a poor college student struggling to make ends meet with triplets on the way. And he heard this and he thought, I need that stuff for my family. Now remember, he has no money. And he realized if he heard this and with no money wanted to use the products, maybe some other people would too. Okay, so that being the case, when we use this as a business tool, there is a tool that can help you use it as a business tool. And one way to do that is to actually use, we call this the CD business mailer. It's a little brochure, not a brochure really, but it's a cardboard insert where you put the CD on the inside, and it's 5 stories of people that have had incredible results with both their health and with the business, right? And so it can help you be both. And it simply says, this CD has changed my life. I want to share it with you. And that's a great tool that it can be both, okay? That's what we do for the business. Now, after that, Oh, let me give you one line that of somebody that was real successful in this. Actually, one of the person that actually holds the record for the shortest time from startup to vice chairman. But it says, I've got something really need to hear, but I can only leave it with you for 2 days, and would set a time to pick it back up. Now, that brings up an important part. See, once people listen to this, we need to make sure we increase the chance. I mean, once we introduce this to somebody and they're interested in listening to it, we want to increase the chance that they follow through on actually take action on that step. We want to increase the chance that they actually listen to it. And the way we do that is we lend it. And how we do it when we say we lend it is we set a time to pick it back up. Whenever you give away the CD, set a time to pick it back up, and you increase the chance they listen to it at least 3-fold, some of them 7-fold. When my brother finally listened to it, and it was the same thing that I did with my mother. I had to sit down and listen to it with him before he listened to it. But once he did, he said, other people need to hear this too. The first 10 he gave away, 1 out of those first 10 wanted to get involved. Out of the next 10, where he lent it out and set a time to pick it back up, I said, do one thing different, set a time to pick it back up. 7 out of the next 10 got involved. See, there's a huge difference there. So set a time to pick it back up. And what do you say when you pick it back up? Well, I like to say, what did you like? Now, you can say, what did you think? That's not a bad question. Would you like is a better question because it asks for a positive feedback, and they can't just say, yeah, I like where he talks about health. They need to be a little more specific than that. But when they start to give some feedback and you get the feeling that there's some interest there, or they have any questions of any sort, you just say, sounds like you're ready for the next step. Well, what's the next step? The next step is the restaurant. It's meet the team. It's coming to a live presentation or a webinar where they're going to meet the team, and that's what we do. And that's the business, folks. It's identify the need, lend the CD, bring them to the restaurant. And then when they decide to get involved, or if they are interested but don't want to get involved yet, either way, maybe they need a little more education. That's what we go through next, is we give them some education. And that is what we call our continuing education step. And I like to say that is step 4. And the continuing education, simply put, we have events and tools. And this is why we have that toolkit. This is why we have the CD audio library. If you know the tools we have, you know what tools you can use with people. For example, if somebody had, let's say somebody that I knew had, maybe they had something severe. Maybe they had cancer. What is a great CD for cancer? Well, it's the Selenium CD by Dr. Schrausser. If they had let's say they had a digestive issue, and I wanted to give them something to educate them about the digestive issue. Serial killers is a great one there. Let's say they had an eye problem and they wanted some more information about eye problem. Seeing is believing that actually an interview with an eye doctor that's had 27 patients that were legally blind that now see. That's a great CD there too. Okay, those are all ways that you can introduce them to additional information to continue the education. You can invite them to events. If they've heard Dr. Wallach on a CD, they'll probably get a lot out of seeing Dr. Wallach in person. So invite them to the event and invite them to come hear Dr. Wallach in person. If they're interested in the business, have them come hear the 90 for Lifestyle tour with Steve Schultz, or come to a business presentation. Those are the kind of things, if you know the tools that you have to work with, you can use them. So continue that education, whether they get involved or not. You'll find some people, the idea is so new to them that they have a hard time coming to grasp or kind of accepting the reality that there are people out there that make a lot of money when we're sick and would prefer that everybody's sick. And so because it's new to them, they have to have some time really to adjust to it. But once they hear it again, they hear it somewhere else, they start to realize, this stuff is true. And they give it a shot and they see results. See, one of the things I love about Dr. Wallach is a veterinarian. Veterinarians never worry about what the animals want to buy. It's all about getting results with them. And we want that too. And that's why we do the continuing education. Well, folks, that's it for it. Now, to give you a little bit of a kind of a checklist that you can use, I want you to go to 60daystocompanycar.com, 60daystocompanycar.com. And this is something that we've seen, if you can actually take those CDs and share out a number of CDs. Okay, ideally you're going through 10 or 20 CDs a week. And if you can do that for 60 days, you're doing 20 CDs a week at 60 days, even at the minimum that we see from people who actually got involved with this. We're getting more people healthy and getting them into a new car, because if you get 20 CDs listened to a week and you invite them to follow the system, or they come to a webinar, or they watch your video there on your website, this is all in the company car brochure. But if we do that, we find at the minimum you're qualifying for that car bonus, and that's great. And we want more and more people to qualify for the car bonus, because everybody who qualifies for the car bonus actually means that there are dozens, if not, even hundreds of people that are getting helped with their health. And to help you do this, we actually have, we call it the company car tracker, but it's just a track sheet or a checklist on how to identify the need, lend the CD, follow up with it, and all of that, okay? All right, and if you want to see where Steve Schultz is coming around for some of these meetings, go to the ygresourcecenter.com, look for upcoming events, and you can see it there. Okay, ygresources.com. Todd, if you want to type that in again, not as a private message, but actually as a public message, people can look at that. But that's how we do this. Folks, it is a fantastic business. It's a business that makes a difference with people, and we want it to make a difference with you. Let me say this. I've been involved with this company for 15 years. I spent 4 years with another nutrition company before that. Within the first 2 years with this, because of this CD that we have, within 2 years with Dr. Wallach, our group was 70 times bigger than I had with 4 years with another nutritional company. Okay, 70 times bigger, folks, because that CD is so good. Now, having said that, let me say this. In the last 2.5 years, our business has grown nearly fourfold. Fourfold. The company is about triple what it was 2 years ago. And the reason we're so much bigger now is because we're getting better and better and better and helping people do the steps to be successful. In fact, we're growing so fast that in the beginning of this year, our company was chosen as the fastest growing company in the industry. And so there's a reason why people are getting excited about this. There's a reason why we're setting new records. There's a reason why more and more people are getting help with their physical and financial health. And folks, that's what we invite you to become a part of. Get help with your physical health. Get help with your financial health. Go out there and help other people do the same. And the number one way we do that is get more and more people to listen to this, okay? Get a copy of that tracker. It'll walk you through the same thing. Again, to review how to share the CD so that people listen to it, go to wallachonline.com and look up the Business Basics by Blake under the Multimedia tab. Bottom left, scroll down to Archived Webinars, and there's 3. There's one on the products, there's another one on the business, and there's one on the training called the Business Basics by Blake. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for tonight. Again, we have a CEO retreat coming up September 14th and 15th down in Denver, Colorado. We invite you to come and participate in that with us. If you're CEO qualified, it's free. You just have to pay for your hotel. You're way out there. But there's no cost for the training. If you're not CEO qualified, all it takes to participate in that training is become CEO qualified, and then it's free for you too. So ladies and gentlemen, that's it. We're going to open this up for any questions. I want to thank Todd Smith. I want to thank him for 2 things. 1, for being on here and helping to answer questions, and 2, for introducing me to this business. This has been a life-changing business for me, folks, and I love working with great people who really care about other people. And I love doing a business that I'm proud of the work we do every day, that I'm proud that so many people are seeing such great results. Every single day, there are people out there dying because they don't have this message. Folks, there are some people, if you don't reach out and talk with them, they may hear about it from somebody else. But there are more people, folks, if you don't talk with them, they're not going to get the information from anywhere else. And if you don't talk with them, they can't talk with someone else either. But if we talk with them in the right way, if we share the message so that they'll listen to it, and then they get excited about it, and they learn how to share the message so the next person can listen to it. Folks, one person at a time together, we're going to change the world. And the world needs changing. The whole talk about healthcare, right now, honestly, it's misdirection intentionally. It's getting people to worry about who pays for insurance instead of whether or not we're healthy. We spend more money in America than every other nation combined on healthcare, and we're one of the sickest countries. We're not getting healthier by spending more money because, as Steve Schultz says, we're sending the wrong dog to the fight. We need this message out there for America, for us, for the people we care about. It's time for us to share this message, and all it takes is to get more and more people to listen to the best of dead doctors don't lie. That's what it starts with. So get a copy of that. Get a copy of those business inserts if you like those. People, if you've been using that business insert, you'll probably have a few stories on how effective that is at helping people share the CD. But ladies and gentlemen, we're growing faster, and we still need more to do. We need to reach more people because our destiny is bigger than ever. So with that, if there's no question,